Let me start with something most men don't want to hear. When you finally walk away, that's usually when she notices your value the most. Not when you begged, not when you tried to prove yourself, but the moment you stop chasing. That's when her mind starts spinning. You see, most men think walking away is about giving up. It's not, it's about reclaiming your power. Because when a woman realizes you're no longer under her emotional control, she starts to feel something she didn't expect: uncertainty. That uncertainty breeds curiosity, and curiosity turns into attraction. But here's the part that most men never understand: women are emotional strategists. They test your strength, your patience, and your self worth. Not because they hate you, but because they want to feel safe around a man who doesn't lose himself for their approval. So when you finally walk away, she replays everything: your confidence, your silence, your discipline. She starts to wonder if she misjudged you, if maybe she lost a man who actually had boundaries. And while you're out there rebuilding yourself, she's quietly calculating what it means that you didn't crawl back. This video isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding human psychology, especially the part men rarely talk about. Because once you truly know what goes on in a woman's mind when you walk away, you'll never chase validation again. You'll start attracting it. 1. Silence hurts more than words. Let me tell you something most men never realize. Silence is the loudest message you can send. When you stop calling, stop explaining, stop chasing, you shift the entire dynamic. Women are used to attention. They're used to reactions, explanations, and emotional energy being poured into them. But when that disappears, it creates confusion. And confusion leads to curiosity, the kind that makes her start thinking about you again. When a man walks away and chooses silence instead of begging, he sends one powerful signal: I'm not fighting for your approval anymore. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. See, women might act unbothered at first. They might post pictures, stay active online, or even flirt publicly to test your response. But underneath all that noise, they're wondering, why hasn't he said anything? Why isn't he reacting? The truth is, silence makes her face something she's been avoiding: the idea that maybe she misjudged you, that maybe she thought she had you figured out, but now she's unsure. And uncertainty is uncomfortable. It makes her think about your absence in every quiet moment. Most men destroy their power because they talk too much when things fall apart. They want closure, they want answers, they want to fix it. But what women feel more than anything is emotional energy, and silence starves that energy. It forces her to sit with her own emotions instead of feeding off yours. When you stay silent, you're not ignoring her. You're giving her space to realize your value. You're creating a void that only your presence can fill. Example 1. Think of a man who walked away from a woman who constantly disrespected his time. Instead of arguing, he disappeared. Days turned into weeks. She started checking his social media, texting mutual friends, and eventually reached out. Not because she missed the drama, but because she missed the calm confidence he carried. His silence reminded her of the kind of man she lost. That's the power of silence. It doesn't beg, it teaches. It makes her see what words never could. Because when you walk away with peace instead of noise, she's left wondering one thing: what kind of man doesn't chase? And that question alone can make her respect you more than anything you ever said. 2. She starts replaying everything. When you walk away, a woman doesn't just move on. She starts replaying everything: every argument, every message, every small detail of how you treated her. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She'll distract herself, post online, hang out with friends, maybe even talk to someone new. But behind that confident front, her mind keeps circling back to one thing: you. See, women have a strong emotional memory. They don't forget how you made them feel, especially when your presence carried peace and consistency. When you walk away, that emotional gap becomes real. And that's when the replay button in her mind starts working overtime. She'll remember how you used to listen, how calm you stayed when she pushed your buttons, how you were available, until you weren't. This is where the real test begins. Because as she replays things, she's not just remembering, she's comparing. Every new guy she meets gets measured against your energy, your composure, your presence, and that comparison usually doesn't go in their favor. Now, here's the irony. When you were there, she might have taken you for granted, but your absence makes her see your worth from a distance. She starts noticing what she didn't appreciate before: your effort, your patience, your silence. That's when regret begins to creep in. Most men ruin this stage because they rush back. They see signs that she's thinking about them: a text, a like, a hey stranger, and they jump right in. But that ruins the power of the replay. Let her sit with it. Let her remember everything without interruption. Because the longer she replays, the deeper the impact of your absence. Example 2. Imagine a man who used to always be available for his girlfriend. Every time she called, he answered. But when he finally walked away after being disrespected one too many times, he went quiet. Weeks later, she found herself scrolling through old messages, reading his words, watching old photos, realizing he never raised his voice, never disrespected her. He just cared too much. That realization hit harder than any argument. That's what happens when you walk away. She doesn't just miss you, she replays you. And every time she does, she starts to see what she lost more clearly. 3. Respect replaces comfort. Here's something men rarely notice. When you walk away, a woman often stops feeling comfortable and starts feeling respect. When you were always available, always explaining yourself, always trying to make things right, she felt safe. But too safe. That comfort made her stop trying. She got used to your presence, your patience, your effort. You became predictable. And in relationships, predictability often kills excitement. But the moment you walk away, that comfort gets replaced by a different emotion: respect. Suddenly, she realizes that you weren't just another man chasing her approval. You were a man with boundaries, a man who could say, enough. And trust me, nothing gets a woman's attention like a man who means what he says. See, comfort feels good in the moment, but it doesn't build attraction. Respect does. When you step back, she sees that your energy wasn't something she was entitled to, it was something she had to earn. And that shift is powerful. It makes her reevaluate how she treated you, what she said, and how she might have taken you for granted. It's uncomfortable at first, for both of you. You'll want to reach out. She'll want to test if you've really changed. But if you stay calm and consistent, something happens. She starts to view you differently. That man who used to chase is now the man she doesn't fully understand anymore, and that mystery builds respect. When a woman respects you, her tone changes, her attitude changes, even her attention changes. Because she's no longer reacting to a man who's always trying to please her, like she's responding to a man who values himself first. Most men confuse being kind with being weak. They think patience means letting disrespect slide. But the truth is, real strength comes from walking away when comfort becomes disrespect. That silence, that distance, that control, that's what earns respect. So yes, when you walk away, she might not miss the conversations at first. She might not even miss the routine, but she will start to miss the feeling of having a man around who didn't let her walk all over him. That's when comfort turns into respect. And respect is what truly makes a woman see your worth. 4. Curiosity turns into obsession. Let's be real. When you finally walk away, her curiosity doesn't start because she suddenly fell back in love. It starts because she can't figure you out anymore. For the first time, she doesn't have control over your reactions, your attention, or your emotions. And that unpredictability is powerful. See, when a woman knows exactly how you'll respond, when she knows that one text, one smile, or one apology will pull you back, you've already lost your mystery. But when you walk away and stay silent, you become the one thing she can't read. And what people can't understand, they start to think about constantly. That's when curiosity slowly turns into obsession. She starts checking your social media, wondering if you've moved on, asking herself why you haven't reached out. Every unanswered question becomes a mental loop. Every day she doesn't hear from you adds to the tension. But here's where most men fail. They break the spell. They go back too early. They respond to that one message. They try to prove they've changed, hoping she'll finally see their worth. And in doing that, they destroy the very energy that made her curious in the first place. Men, you need to wake up. You can't claim to be strong if you're emotionally dependent on a woman's reaction. You can't say you're done and then show up the moment she gives you crumbs of attention. That's not strength, that's emotional addiction. Walking away only works when it's backed by discipline. If you do it to manipulate her, she'll feel it. But if you do it because you finally realized your peace matters more than her approval, that's when the power shifts. Understand this. Women are naturally drawn to men they can't completely figure out. Not because of games, but because mystery signals depth. And depth is rare. So when you walk away and focus on building yourself, mentally, physically, and emotionally, her curiosity about you becomes something deeper. She starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're becoming, and why your energy feels different. That's not magic, and that's the result of self respect. So don't chase, don't prove, don't fold. Be the man she can't stop thinking about. Not because you're playing games, but because you finally learned when to walk away and mean it. 5. She tests to see if you'll break. When you walk away, don't think it's over. It's only beginning. Because once she feels your silence and senses your distance, her next move is almost always the same. She'll test you. Women test not because they're evil or manipulative, but because they want to feel the truth of your strength. See, any man can talk about confidence, but only a few can prove it through discipline. When she senses you might be serious about walking away, she'll want to know, is he really done? Or is this just another act? That's when the small tests begin. A text out of nowhere. A sudden story post made just to see if you'll react. Maybe she brings up old memories or acts like nothing happened. But understand this, every test has one purpose, to check if your emotions still belong to her. And this is where most men fail. They fold the moment she gives them attention. They mistake her curiosity for commitment. They confuse a test for a second chance, and just like that, they hand back all the power they gained by walking away. Men, here's your wake-up call. A woman respects a man she can't break. The moment she realizes you won't respond to bait, won't react to drama, won't beg for validation, her respect for you multiplies. But if you keep proving how loyal you are by running back every time she calls, she'll never take you seriously. You don't pass these tests by arguing or explaining. You pass them by not reacting. The less you respond, the more she feels your control. Silence, consistency, and composure. That's how you win. Remember, when she tests you, she's not always trying to get you back. She's trying to understand what kind of man you truly are. Can you stay calm when tempted? Can you stand firm when she stirs emotion? This is your moment to show growth. Because walking away doesn't mean disappearing forever. It means evolving so deeply that even if she comes back, she's not meeting the same man who left. If you can't handle the test, you weren't ready to walk away in the first place. So stay grounded, stay disciplined, and let your silence speak for your strength. 6. Power shifts. Instantly. The moment you walk away, the power dynamic changes instantly. And this is something most men never see coming. For so long, you've been reacting, chasing, over-explaining, trying to make things right. You were playing defense. But the second you stop, the whole game flips. Here's why. When you walk away, you take back the one thing she was feeding on, your energy. She no longer has access to your attention, your validation, or your emotional effort. That's what makes her pause. That's when the power shifts. See, emotional control is power, and most men give it away too easily. Every time you react out of fear, fear of losing her, fear of being replaced, fear of looking cold, you give away that power. But when you stay calm and detached, you suddenly become unpredictable. And unpredictability is attractive because it creates emotional tension. You need to understand something deep here. Like, women feel power, they don't just see it. It's not about who's louder or more confident, it's about who's emotionally centered. When she feels that you're unshaken, that her silence doesn't shake your peace, she begins to respect you differently. But too many men ruin it. The moment she calls, they answer. The moment she texts, they melt. They don't realize they're giving up the strength they just built. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to play games. You just need to show her that your life moves forward with or without her. That's what makes the power shift real. Here's the truth. Power in relationships doesn't come from control. It comes from discipline. From knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to walk away. The moment she feels that your happiness isn't tied to her approval, she starts to see you differently. You become the man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't fold under pressure. That's when her respect grows. Not because you overpowered her, but because you mastered yourself. Men, remember this: power isn't taken, it's regained through self respect. The day you realize your peace is worth more than her attention is the day the power truly shifts in your favor. 7. She realizes who you really were. Here's the funny thing about walking away: it's usually after you're gone that she finally sees who you really were. While you were there, your consistency made you invisible. Your effort, your patience, your loyalty, all of it became background noise. She got used to it. You became the man she expected to show up. But once you leave, she starts connecting dots she ignored before. The small things you did without being asked. The way you listened when she vented. The times you stayed calm when she pushed you to your limits. Suddenly she realizes that what she thought was normal was actually rare. And that realization doesn't hit all at once. It builds slowly. It comes late at night when she scrolls through old messages. It comes when she meets someone new who doesn't understand her the way you did. It comes when she realizes that peace and effort are not easy to find in the modern dating world. But here's where men need to wake up. You shouldn't walk away hoping she'll realize your worth. You should walk away because you've realized it yourself. If you're still waiting for her to see the light, you haven't fully let go. A woman realizing who you were is powerful, but it only matters if you've already moved on, because when you walk away and keep growing, she's not just remembering who you were, she's watching who you're becoming. That's when the respect hits harder than the regret. The truth is, people rarely see your value when you're always available. It's distance that gives perspective. When you stop trying to be understood, you finally start to be seen. Men, don't be bitter about it. Let her realization be her lesson, not your validation. Your peace isn't a bargaining chip. It's proof that you've grown past needing someone to confirm your worth. When she finally realizes who you really were, she'll understand one painful truth. She lost a man who would have done anything for her, but he won't do that anymore. So keep your head up, stay silent, and move with purpose. Because sometimes walking away is the only way to remind her, and yourself, who you truly were all along. 8. The fear of replacement hits hard. When you finally walk away and mean it, something shifts deep inside her. Fear. Not the fear of losing your attention for a few days, but the fear of being replaced. That quiet, unsettling thought that another woman might now be experiencing the peace, care, and energy she once took for granted. See, at first she might act unbothered. She'll smile online, act busy, maybe even flirt a little. It's part of her pride. But underneath all that, the question starts eating at her. What if he's already talking to someone else? And that's when it hits, because now she's no longer in control of your attention. She doesn't know where your focus is. She doesn't know who's getting the energy that used to be hers. That uncertainty drives her crazy, especially if you're moving forward without trying to prove a thing. Men, here's where you need to wake up. This is not the time to get cocky or play games. A woman's fear of replacement is not about revenge. It's about respect. She's realizing that your value didn't disappear when you left. It just became more visible. And that's the part that stings the most. The man she thought would always be there is now becoming someone else's mystery. And that's when she starts comparing herself. She starts overthinking, replaying her mistakes, trying to understand what changed. That's not ego, that's realization. But too many men ruin this stage. They take her sudden interest as proof that she still cares and and they go running back. Don't do it. That moment isn't about getting her back, it's about keeping your growth. You walking away was supposed to elevate you, not trap you in a cycle of emotional games. Let her fear be her lesson. Not to hurt her, but to remind her that access to you is earned, not guaranteed. The best revenge isn't replacing her. It's becoming the kind of man who no longer needs to prove he can. When you move forward with quiet confidence, when your energy shifts from chasing to choosing, that's when her fear hits hardest. Because she finally realizes she wasn't replaced by another woman. She was replaced by your peace. 9. Emotions versus logic. Who wins? When it comes to walking away, this is where most men lose. They fight an emotional battle with logic. You try to reason with her feelings, Explain your point, make her understand why you're right. But here's the truth: emotions don't respond to logic, ever. See, women operate emotionally by nature. They feel before they think. When she's upset, she's not processing your explanation. She's reacting to your energy. She's reading your tone, your body language, your silence. That's why words rarely fix anything. But most men don't get it. You try to debate her emotions with logic, and you end up looking cold, distant, or dismissive, even when you're completely right. Here's where your growth begins: understanding that control doesn't come from being louder or smarter. It comes from mastering your emotions when hers are out of control. Because the truth is, the one who stays calm always wins. When you walk away, your silence is logic in motion. It's a message that says, I won't engage in chaos. That's not weakness. That's emotional maturity. And ironically, that's what makes her start to respect you again. Because deep down, women are drawn to men who can stay grounded when everything else feels uncertain. But let's be honest, most men haven't mastered that balance. You react when she pulls away. You chase when she tests you. You speak when silence would have been more powerful. That's not strength. That's lack of discipline. You need to learn how to feel without being ruled by those feelings. Logic doesn't mean being cold. It means staying in control. It means you respond, you don't react. When she sees that she can't shake you emotionally, something shifts. The emotional roller coaster that used to control the relationship stops working. She starts to feel her own emotions while watching you stay centered, and that's when the respect returns. Men, here's the truth: emotions make her feel love, but logic makes her feel safe. And when you can balance both, when your calm energy gives her something solid to trust, that's when you win. Because at the end of the day, the man who learns to lead with logic but still understands emotion is the one who never has to chase again. 10. The comeback dilemma. Now let's talk about the part most men secretly wait for: the comeback. That moment when she finally texts, calls, or suddenly checks in. It's the stage where her curiosity and regret start to collide. But here's where everything can fall apart if you're not careful. When she comes back, it's not always because she wants a relationship again. Sometimes she just wants to see if she still can, if she still holds space in your mind, if she still has the same power over your emotions that she used to. That's why how you respond determines everything. Most men fail here because they let excitement override logic. The moment she returns, they forget the disrespect, the distance, and the lessons. They go right back to being available, thinking, this time will be different. But the truth is, I swear it won't be. Because if nothing in you has changed, the same pattern will repeat. Men, you need to understand something. Walking away only means something if you stay evolved when she returns. Your peace, your standards, your emotional control, those are what made her respect you again. Lose that, and you lose everything. When she comes back, don't rush to prove your worth. Don't start explaining how much you've changed. Let your calm energy speak for you. If she genuinely respects your growth, you'll feel it in her tone, her actions, and her consistency. But if she's just testing your emotions again, you'll see the same red flags as before. And this time, it's your job to act differently. Because the comeback isn't your reward, it's your final test. You must ask yourself, am I entertaining her out of strength or out of weakness? If it's weakness, walk away again and mean it this time. But if it's strength and she's truly showing change, move slowly and lead with your new standards, not your old feelings. Remember, growth means you don't go back to the same version of yourself just because she returned. The man who walked away should never meet the same woman in the same way again. So, when she comes back, don't celebrate too soon. Watch, observe, and decide. Because how you handle the comeback determines if you've truly changed or if you were just pretending to. Conclusion: the harsh truth: they'll never admit. Let's end this with something most people won't say out loud. When you walk away, she doesn't just miss you. She misses the version of herself that existed when you still wanted her. That's the controversial truth right there. It's not always about love or loss. It's about validation. Your presence gave her power, and your absence forces her to face reality. She doesn't miss your messages. She misses how your messages made her feel. She doesn't miss your attention. She misses the mirror of importance you used to hold up to her. And men, that's why walking away is powerful. Not because it hurts her, but because it heals you. It exposes who valued you for real and who only valued your effort. You see, relationships today aren't always built on love. They're often built on comfort. The moment you stop feeding that comfort, you see who's real. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me what happened when you walked away. What changed? What surprised you? I'll be reading, I'll be replying, and I'll be reaching out to some of you personally. Let's make this conversation real, not just content, but connection. And listen, don't get too comfortable yet, because in the next video, I'm going to expose something even deeper. Why some women only start loving you once you stop chasing them. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one.